I'm John Cameron of Indiana University Libraries. I'm the product owner for Avalon Media System, and I'm going to give the Avalon update this morning. So Avalon, again, this is something I've presented on at the previous mid-regional meetings. But Avalon is the streaming video and audio access platform in the Samvera community. Our features include flexible and granular access control, easy transcoding to sort of lift the weight of AV transcoding away from the users. And of course, we've been supported by many grants over the years. So this is a team. It's a small team, but we mostly focus almost exclusively on Avalon, which is wonderful. We have a lot of people who are using Avalon, including ourselves. So we have a list of institutions on our website. We're working on an implementation with Michigan State University that's going to be completely in AWS. And we have a number of community events. So we do a monthly roundtable meeting with users. And then we have a public Slack channel, which is, I think, where most of our support comes in, either through GitHub or a public Slack channel where people get in touch with us. So the most recent release is Avalon 7.8. So I put down here also in 2024, we did an Avalon 7.7 release and then 2 more point releases. But we have a bunch in 7.8. So the big ones, the big features in 7.8 are a new component for searching transcripts that I'll show off, a lot of dependency upgrades, and a bunch of bug fixes and other things. Also, RAMP 3.2. So RAMP is the library of React components for audio and moving image presentation and supplemental files as well. And so RAMP 3.2 brought in a lot of improvements in the user interface, particularly. So with each release of RAMP, we continue to improve the way we work with IIIF manifests and within Avalon, the application. So we added some new indexing for Avalon 7.8. So when you do a search in the application, you get these found in hints, which show you exactly where within the record your search query was matched. So we basically have added transcript text. So transcripts and captions, once they're uploaded to a record, get indexed within Solr. And it shows up here in the search results. So with the addition of a lot of extra stuff to our index, having hints to the user about where these matches are being made is something that we really want to add. And want to call out Third Wave, who provided a lot of the transcript search functionality here in RAMP. So RAMP added this transcript component, and it shows up as this transcripts tab within Avalon. But basically, we can now do a search within transcript documents. So similar to how Aviary and some other tools have it, if you have a transcript document, you can put a term in the search box here. You get a ordered list of results that you can page through. And also, we have the ability to add any number of transcript documents to the records now. So it'll be a visual match over in the media player as to where all the hits came from in the timestamping. And of course, you can go through. So this is all made possible by the content search API. So the component that we use has a couple of different ways we can do it. There's a local option, and there's also the option to use the content search API here. So this is big. We've added a content search API to records. So in the IIIF manifest that Avalon produces, there's a service definition that lets us then query against those endpoints. So we can send a search term query directly to one of these files associated with a record, get back a big bunch of text, and then match that up in the transcript display. We also did a bunch of API updates. So one of the things that was missing was sort of a full set of creation and updating with all the other parts of a record besides the media file. And this was important for some of our projects, but you can now basically using the API send any sort of binary file data with additional metadata about, if it's a caption file, if it's a supplemental file, all these sorts of things. So you can do this programmatically, just in a script or, via anything that can hit an endpoint there. So this lets us, basically, again, do mass upload and update of captions on records, and we've used this in production to good effect. But it makes us think, again, about API support more generally, the ability to, basically touch and retrieve information about all sorts of the records via the API is something that we're still working toward. So more functionality, better sort of user experience when you're using the API. So if you submit a bad request, it tells you what you did wrong. And then looking at, do we want to use, some other standard, the API has been sort of written as it goes, and adhering to some sort of open standard would also be kind of a nice thing to go forward. So other 7.8 things, we've also had the ability to type caption documents as transcripts. So this is for the common use case where if you have a VTT file that has captions or caption data, you can also use that document as a transcript document to have it show up in that specific component and render and display. We also added a language field and the ability to upload all this media within our usual batch methods. We also added a playback rate control to the media player. This is a very requested feature. And then we also added the IIIF manifest URL to the share panel here. So it's kind of our part to try to surface the IIIF manifest as something that can be easily, used by users. So there's a whole other bunch of changes. We added the ability to download one of the derivatives directly if it's all hooked up in your storage, so that collection managers can go through and just directly download the highest quality derivative for sharing out with researchers. Changing the way the embedded player works, changing, just a bunch of little things. One of the things I like is the file size limit for web upload was removed. So we finally changed that. So you can set that to whatever you'd like now. And we have that changed in production as well. And then some minor changes as to how metadata is indexed in the record that we came to find as a lot of testing. So we also fixed a bunch of bugs. I'm not going to focus on those as much, but there were some big ones that we got. So up next is Avalon 8. You can see we missed, it's not November anymore, but this release has Fedora 6 support, which is kind of the biggest one. So we really wanted to make sure that we stayed current with everything. So this is a big sort of dependency release where, again, we've added Fedora 6 support. We're going to switch to Fedora 6 in our production instances. The Ruby and Rails upgrades, and a lot of changes to the back end. So a lot of refactoring work in how RAMP works, performance improvements, sort of across many different areas of the application. The ability to stream files via progressive download. So you can use MP3s now in Avalon and have the streaming server just serve those directly rather than having to transcode them. And then we added support that was sort of existing that we were able to pull in for browse everything. So now you can set up an application and connect via OneDrive and SharePoint to Microsoft Cloud Storage for the purposes of ingesting your content into an Avalon instance. So we continue to work with other people too. So we're continuing to work with AV Annotate, working with UT Austin. And that's mostly about being able to support IIIF annotations in RAMP so that we can use those within Avalon and also for anyone who else is just using RAMP out there. And as Heather mentioned, we're going to try to, by the end of the year, move Avalon from our current Drupal-based setup to the new Samvera template, and that's ongoing. So begin that done very soon. Okay, so please, feel free to get in touch with us. We have that public Slack channel, mailing list. There's a bunch of stuff on our website, and Avalon 7.8 is at our demo site, demo.avalonmediasystem.org. All right, thank you.